Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome to a video. Actually, we can't really see everything. Let me zoom out here because this is huge. Look at it. This is the Great Ape VEGETA exclusive edition. Now, I never expected a figure this big to get the exclusive edition treatment. Oh man, I am pretty excited about this one. Obviously, as a big Dragon Ball OG fan and Z fan, especially that early Saiyan saga along with the Namek saga. This was always been one of my favourite figures just because the presence it brings to the collection is amazing. I mean, it kind of came at a time when I think a lot of people were just getting into the line, and it's that weird transition, especially in America, where they're kind of going from the web exclusive version to the premium Bandai. And then obviously after that, a lot more people got into collecting. I mean, at that point I think it was a bit harder to get. So this is a great opportunity for anyone who doesn't have the original to jump in and pick up this VEGETA release. Or even if you have the original, I think this one's still a really great addition due to the colour differences that this figure has. So we'll cover those a little bit later in the video, along with a comparison to the original as well, so we can actually see those differences up close. Now straight away, amazing design on the box. Look at him there in the image. That blue really pops. Really digging the tone that they picked for this box. Now obviously the exclusive editions, especially over the American ones, they do it SDCC, New York, Comic-Con and so forth, have these really cool duotone boxes, and the Great Ape is no exception to that. Now on the back we also get a section of images showcasing him in a few poses, along with the different hands that he does come with, as well as the additional eye piece. Not really a head or a face, I guess it's face. Anyway, the eye section that he does come with. Now for those that have the original, you'll already be noticing one or two small differences already, but for those that don't know, let me pop him out of the box here so we can actually show what he does come with, and we can highlight a couple of those small differences. Okay, actually before we jump into the contents for this figure, I did want to quickly highlight how to pick up this figure if you are going to a convention, because it is important. You have to go to the official Comic-Con website, and the portal is only open from July 7th until July 17th. That is very important, so you need to go pre-register in there, and also there is going to be limited sales for the figures at the event, so I highly recommend jumping on the site. The details and link is in the description. That way you can guarantee that you can pick up this figure while at the event. So yeah, just a reminder, the daily sales are going to be limited, so be sure before the 17th of July, jump in, get all your registration or your pre-registration all completed, so you don't have to worry about any stress for picking up these figures at the event. Okay, so we've got the Great Ape here, and yeah, this is a huge box. So yeah, start prepping space now for this release, that's all I've got to say. But straight away, Great Ape in the center, finger spread hands, we've got the closed fist as well as the finger pointing one. We get the exchangeable eyes. This is one with the eye, right eye damaged, but he has it closed. We get the long tail as well as the cut off tail. Now that leads me to the first main difference to the original one. If you remember, the first one actually came with a little bit mini, in scale to this figure, Yajirobe with his katana for the scene where he jumps through and cuts off the tail, leaving VEGETA with a little bit stubby nub that we have there as well. So that's one difference from the original, where we don't get that additional Yajirobe figure. And as we can see on the back here, we also have the base stand. This out of the way. Oh, there we go. So with the base stand here, as we can see as well, the colour is different. The original one was a matte black finish for both the base and arm, whereas the one that we have here with this exclusive edition is more of a would it be desert colour? Anyway, it is more of a neutral ground colour to match in with the area where they were fighting when VEGETA first transformed into the Great Ape version that we have here, which was in the desert, in the mountains. So that is really nice actually. I really like the colour in this base. I think it definitely pairs a bit nicer with the figure compared to the base black one. And it is obviously one more point which is different to the original. So if you want to pick up both, you have that there to distinguish them in your collection as well. So unsurprisingly, he doesn't fit on the turntable, so we'll have to move him around manually here. But yeah, he looks amazing in person. I've got him here attached to the stand. Now he can stand up under his own 2 feet without issue. However, due to the weight of the figure, I do recommend using the stand for long-term display purposes, just to take that extra weight off the joints. Now each of the joint in here is a ratchet from both the inner legs to the arms as well. And you can hear those click there. Which is really nice, so it makes actually posing and moving his joints really well. He also has great butterfly joints on his shoulder here as well, which will come in and out. And his shoulder pads are actually on APE as well. Very similar to the Turles figure actually, but obviously in a scaled up version. So everything can move in really well. And let me get it up and around again. Bring his arm forward. Yes, like he's kind of grabbing. Just lift it up and around, there we go, so we can get him lifting all the way up and around if you want. So really, actually really poseable for a huge figure, which is great. But anyway, for the finish on this figure, this one here, I think it aligns more with what we saw in the actual anime, whereas the blue color is more softer color in its tonality. Really nice blue actually. And then the armor isn't just a straight white, it is slightly off-white with a subtle grey, I guess, would be going through that color there. And then his armor has that lovely orange tone to it, opposed to the more yellow one which the original one had. The brown as well is a softer brown, whereas the original one was darker. But we will compare the two shortly, so you can see the difference in a side-by-side comparison. On the back here I have a tail as well, which has a great range of motion for articulation for the joint. A little bit squeaky, that's nothing to worry about there. It has its own peg that pops on, really easy to interchange with the other tail as well, which is great. Yeah. The detailing on this figure is great. I love how we get all the battle damage and all the sculpt marks in on both the top part of armor as well as all the lower parts and on the pants. So I think it matched up pretty well with what we see in the series. And it's just such a fun figure. I really do like the original one. And this one here, the colours themselves I think work extremely well, which I'd love to see. Now one other difference that I forgot to mention earlier that is a differentiating point from the original one. The original one came with hands which are gripping into a scaled version of Goku from the iconic scene where he's grabbing Goku, squeezing the life out of him. And I think that is when Yajirobe cuts the tail off. So we don't get that part as well. But we will have a little look and see how the glove tones compare if you want to mix and match with your original one, if that's something that you are keen on doing. But yeah, let me pop them off this. Since the review I did for the original one, I think it's pretty old. Now I'm pretty sure I did one, even now I can't remember, it was so long ago. So I will quickly go over the articulation on this video. It's something I don't normally do for some of the exclusive ones since I have other videos already. But yeah, to make it a bit easier for those that probably new to the line or don't have the original, I'll have a quick look at the articulation for you. And if you have any more questions, please do let me know in the comments below as well. However, before we jump into the articulation of the figure, I do want to show the stand here. It has a really solid joint for the back here, so you can angle it up and down if needed, and then the actual gripping arm part will move as well. So depending on what pose you want to go for, you can actually achieve a lot of range from the figure with this one stand, which is great. Now it doesn't swivel left to right, it is fixed in that orientation, however up and down and pivoting, that is all good. We have a really nice cocked rest here, which will balance the figure, and then we have some really nice solid arms which will go all the way around and grip around his waist. So yeah, overall the stand is actually really good, and as I mentioned before, I actually really like the colour. It's nice, it definitely does give me that earth tone, which is great to see. Now jumping into the ape himself, yeah, as I mentioned before, he can stand on his own 2 feet, which he is doing right now without any real issue, which is great. So depending on the pose without the stand, no worries. But anyway, jumping into the articulation with the head, and we do get swivel left and right, and you can look up a little bit more so on the neck joint underneath. A little gap will appear though. You can look down as well, though the range of motion definitely a little bit more limited compared to some figures. I think that's partly due to the bulk in his design, where it may clip into the armor as well. Now his mouth will open up, which is great, so you can closed or open, whichever one you choose to go for. Really nice. Actually, here's a good point for us to change over those eyes as well. So you can see, really simple, his top part of his head will slot off, and that will give you access to the eyes, which will also pop off, revealing the very weird underside. And then all you have to do is slot on the other eye part, and then slot the nose back in. So really easy and simple to use, and again, the mouth will open and close regardless of which faceplate you use. So coming over to the shoulders, again these pads are on their own peg, which is great, so you can move these up, down, swivel them up and around as well, which is great, so we'll move out of the way if needed. And we have a giant butterfly joint in here, so the arm will swivel out and around, and you can move the shoulder up even further if needed, revealing the inner joint. And we have a really giant peg in there as well, so the shoulder part will move and swivel on that point. And then we have a giant ratchet style joint for that actual upper shoulder area, so you can lift his arm up without any issue, and it still holds in place, which is great. Now it is a little bit tight, but we do also get a bicep swivel as well, so you just have to kind of grip firmly and swivel around there. So if you want, you can swivel on that bicep if needed. We also get a really good double jointed elbow. It does open up some gaps on the back, but depending on the angle, no issue, and it is a nice range of motion. Now the figure has some giant wrist pegs. You can easily swivel the hand, which is great, and you can pivot on that joint. It's a little bit more limited depending on which way you want to pivot. Due to the sculpt design and the hands being curved, it may hit onto the armor slightly, but for the most part I haven't found it to be too much of a hindrance, and I have been able to achieve the type of poses that I want from the figure at least. But it's something to keep in mind there, a little bit more restricted compared to your normal base figures, which have, I guess, less bulk in that wrist area. Now probably the more limiting part of the figure is the torso here. We get a couple of mil, but we don't get a huge range of motion for ab crunch, but we can swivel left and right and get some angle motion going on there, which isn't too bad. And then due to the fact this being quite a tight oval, we don't get as much swivel on here as what we would with a lot of other figures. Obviously the top part will hit the lower part and restrict the motion, right? But there is a few mil of motion there, so you can kind of move around if needed. But just, I think it's worthwhile keeping in mind that compared to smaller figures which have a slender waist, your range of motion is going to be more restricted. Kind of similar to like Dodoria and some of the other more rotund figures that we have from the Dragon Ball line. However, moving down to the legs, actually really good range of motion. Look at that, can almost do the splits, and you can hear the ratchet joint in there as well. So okay range of motion. It definitely is a little bit more limited compared to other figures. I think again it is the bulk. We have a hard plastic on the back which will kind of help as the rest as well, but we do get the upper thigh swivel. The knee joint is really nice, and it's a good ratchet joint as well. Now the feet have a surprising amount of motion. Again, we get a bit of a ratchet joint for the pivot, going forward and back, really nice, and toe tip. So yeah, actually I was always impressed about the range of motion in the legs, and again the event exclusive here is no difference to the original, with a nice range of motion, and at least for me I feel like it feels good. And there's something so satisfying about that ratchet style joint, right, especially on a really big bulky heavy figure. So yeah, really nice to see that, and that does help with keeping him upright and maintaining his weight if you do want to stand him without using the stand, right? So yeah, as I mentioned, he also comes with the additional tail, so I can just pop this off and revealing the peg. Actually really easy to switch on and off. The socket on the other tail part has a split, which makes it a lot easier to put on and off compared to some other changeable parts on figures. Again, nice, we can swivel on that peg as well to face in basically any direction that we want. So yeah, very nice, easy to use, which is nice. And again, we get a close look at the tail. Lots of sculpting marks all throughout the tail, really detailed, really nice. And again, matches up with the brown on the hair, which I'd say is really, it's basically like a milk chocolate color. I think really nice actually. So the brown on this figure I think is really good. Okay, check this out. I gotta say, this is damn cool. So yeah, we have the original release on the left, the new exclusive on the right, and hands down the new one, the exclusive, that is the winner. That one, chef's kiss. The color on that one there, it looks like he's just stepped right out of the anime. I don't know what was going on with the original one with the suit color. It looks more like it's the Dragon Ball Super version of VEGETA. Maybe that was the influence at the time because Super was ongoing. I don't know what happened there, but I'm glad we have this new exclusive. I think this is the definitive edition for a Great Ape VEGETA, and it's something that I think every Dragon Ball Z SH Figuarts collector needs to jump on, just because he looks so amazing with those colors, both the darker for the armor as well as that blue on the his inner suit is just perfect. The original one here, again, really nice. I still love it. I didn't have an issue with it until I saw this new one. This new one, seriously man, it looks so nice. The brown color for the fur, from what I can tell, is the same. However, the tone for the leather or the hide part for the ape is a lot nicer. This one here, I don't know, it's a bit, they're both, the shade of brown on this one is just, I think, perfect, right? Just captures it. This one here is just slightly off and not quite as nice as the exclusive version here. Now, the armor color, again, we have the off-white, whereas the original was just straight white. So you can switch the hands if you want, but obviously the gloves will be quite a different tone to the rest of the gloves. So depending if it's for photo purposes, you can definitely work around that. For long-term posing, I think definitely switching the hands probably not really ideal for this figure and compared to some of the others. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about the Great Ape exclusive edition version versus the original? Did you get the original or did you pass on? I'm keen to know why. And yeah, how does it affect you picking up this version of the Great Ape VEGETA? Because obviously this is an exclusive edition. Who knows when we'll get another version of Great Ape VEGETA. Now keep in mind, this was a premium Bandai release, which means no re-release in its exact same form. Now this was web exclusive in America at the time, which means shops like GameStop could buy and sell, but it's still technically a premium Bandai release, so it falls under that whole no re-release category, except for these type of situations where it's an exclusive edition. So in saying that, I think this is your one and only chance to pick up this color version, or this anime accurate color version of Great Ape, so definitely jump on it while you can. I think, yeah, obviously huge figure, pricey, but I think down the line he's definitely going to become a lot more expensive and sought after as that definitive edition of Great Ape VEGETA, because yeah, huge figures like this we don't get too much or too often with the Dragon Ball line. They are kind of few and far between. Obviously Great Ape VEGETA here, then we had Purunga, who's huge, and obviously Guru is coming, so we have been getting some, but normally several years in between each release. So yeah, definitely for me this is a must-have for any collection, and I think it's definitely going to be probably my favourite item in the Dragon Ball SH Figuarts line going forward, mainly just due to the color. I absolutely love the blue, and that it's just so nostalgic, right? It really takes me back to running home watching the episodes on TV. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. Yeah, you know, I love it. Hopefully you guys do as well. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please do, well, like, subscribe, share it around as well. It definitely does help. But yeah, just overall, again, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, cheers.